Hey everybody, Brett Rice, Core Vision Financial Group, coming to you today with another video in our series on financial topics. Today we're joined by Andrea Lee, CFP here at Core Vision, and we're going to talk about decisions investors make that hurt their portfolios. So thanks for joining us, Andrea.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Andrea Lee. I have been with Core Vision just shy of 9 years, and I've been in CFP since 2020, I believe.
We talk about decisions that clients make that hurt their portfolios. So how do we come up with this? Why are we talking about this today?
Are we being honest?
Yeah, 100% we're being honest.
Just sometimes it's frustrating is an intense word to use, but watching clients make decisions or go against recommendations because they are letting emotion make their decision instead of really just focusing on sticking to the plan and steady Eddie, keep with it. Kind of that overreaction piece can hurt you sometimes.
Yeah, I think we all deal with that. You'll be having a conversation with a client and they kind of go against everything that they've told you in the past. This is my risk tolerance. This is my time horizon. These are my goals. And you're going to get in a bad market occasionally, right? You're going to get in a downturn and everybody then wants to say, oh, well, I'm losing money. I need to get out of these investments. So today what we're going to talk about is why in the long run, that's not in your best interest. Or when we make these decisions early on, like we kind of try to make these decisions in a silo when we say, what is your risk tolerance, your time horizon? Because those are things we don't feel like are really going to change based upon the market. So when a client all of a sudden calls and says, hey, I want to go to cash because the market's down so much. You know, we talk about it a bunch on here, but 73% of the time the market is up. So 3 out of every 4 years or time sections, I guess is what I want to say here, because it's years, but it's not that clean. I don't know how you want to clean that up, but 73% of the time the market's up. So we think we're going to win 3/4 of the time. And so the longer you're in the market, the less sense it makes to make those changes, to stick with your plan, stick with your portfolio.
Right. And in the very beginning, we talk about asset allocation. Asset allocation is literally designed, that's what is designed for you personally. So that's in the beginning. That's with that risk tolerance. When we get started, we construct that portfolio with the fluctuations in the market in mind. So those things are to be expected. We don't necessarily know when they're coming, but we know that they're coming. And so we prepare for those based on how we allocate your portfolio, not necessarily trying to time the market because we're not going to win that battle.
Right. And that's something we don't want to do is try to time the market, because we talk about the 10 best days in the market usually follow the 10 worst days in the market. Right. So it's like you don't want to hit that timing and capture the downside, but not capture the up. Right. And the only way to do that is to just stay in the market.
Yeah, unless you've got a crystal ball, in which case you don't need an advisor anyway.
So there's the things that we talked about is your time horizon, your risk tolerance, and you talked about the portfolio. We use those pieces of information to figure out which of the portfolios match those for you. And just because the market's down doesn't mean that those things change.
Correct. It also, instead of looking at the market being down as a scary time, maybe looking at it as an opportunity. If you've got some on the sidelines, put that cash in and take advantage of it. So not that anyone is like, oh, yay, the market's down, but like instead of constantly being like doom and gloom, like there are positives there, and just trying to utilize those and use strategies that are going to help you instead of panic decisions.
Especially for younger clients.
100%.
What a great opportunity is for them to add money if they're in that position to where they have 20 or 30 years left in the market. You got to take advantage of those downturns to say, hey, now's an opportunity for me to add more cash. Some of the other things that we talk about, not necessarily in retirement accounts, but tax loss harvesting. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of opportunities, time frames. When the market's down, all of a sudden you've got an investment that's got a loss over the time you've had it. Is that if you ever wanted to switch that out to a different mutual fund or a different ETF, or that's an opportunity for you.
Right. And the ideal situation, right, is a portfolio that has grown in value, but is reporting losses. And that's another hat that we wear as financial advisors, is just kind of working with your tax professionals and trying to utilize those strategies and do the best that we can. The other thing that I think you don't think of very often in a financial advisor, but it's a hat that we wear on the daily, is just behavioral coaching and kind of saving clients from themselves. So many times I'll sit down with clients and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. That's great, right? Like that makes me feel wonderful. But I'm not saying anything new. I'm literally just bringing them back to the line of where we started and saying, remember, this is why we do this. Remember this. And then it's like, oh yeah, okay, the sky is not falling.
I just had a meeting, I believe it was beginning of last week, and the client started it out by going, okay, I'm prepared for how bad this is. And I was like, you have a 28% return over the last 1 year.
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
But if you watch the news.
Right. And it was like, it was one of those situations you were just talking about. When it was done, she was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better about our conversation. And when people call us, it shouldn't be all the anxiety and nerves. And we're here as an advisor to you. We're not calling to say, oh, you did this wrong. Or what I mean,
no, I got enough kids. I don't need any more.
Right. And the thing is I think a lot of people look at this relationship as, oh, this person's going to tell me what I'm doing wrong. Well, all we're here is to give you advice. Like, hey, help us paint the picture of what your financial life looks like. Give us all this information, time horizon, risk tolerance, and how do we make that let's work together. I'm not here to, like you said, be your parent.
No. Well, and I actually had this conversation yesterday in a meeting with a prospect. And I was like, look at this relationship more as a coach. Like, we are helping you find the strategies and get the information to make the most out of your portfolio, or when life happens, because it will, and things change, and just figuring out the new way to strategize to make that plan work with whatever has happened in life. So yeah, I look at that. I mean, I do. I think so many times clients are like nervous to sit down because they think they're going to get scolded, which is definitely not the case. If I could put anything in anyone's mind and make them think certainly different, it would be, think of it as a coaching relationship. We're on the same team here.
And there are a lot of client behaviors that we see. You're like, look, I'm here to give you advice and try to talk you off the ledge, right? As far as saying, hey, this is what the news media is telling you. Here's what we think is happening. Here's, like you said, it's more of a coach. I'll say high-level professionals. They have coaching. So why shouldn't investors have coaching? You 100% should have coaching. But I don't think historically it's been looked at as, hey, this person is here to help me. It's more, oh no, this person's going to tell me everything I've done wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Or make me save so much I can't live.
So some of the client behaviors that we see that we try to help, I'm going to say, regulate the emotional reaction to, because we get phone calls all the time where people are like, oh my gosh, there's this conflict in the Middle East, oil's through the roof, prices are going, okay, what do we need to do? What do we need to get out of and into? And having that conversation, okay, well, has your risk tolerance changed? Your time horizon changed? What
are your goals? Have any of those changed?
Right.
Like, okay, then we're on track. If nothing has changed, the only thing that's changed the market, guess what? We planned for that. So we're good. But I think it's also, I mean, we would be remiss to not cover the fact that it's 100% easier for you and I to sit here and talk about not getting emotional on your portfolio when it's not our money, right? So there is definitely an emotional tie to that. That is what is the root of where this all comes from, right? But I think it goes back to the fact that it's easy for you and I to make those decisions because we don't have that emotional attachment. And so we are making them based on historical data and lots of other things that are quantitative instead of just emotion.
A lot of times when I have these conversations with clients, I'll say, when people are like, well, this is my money or whatever, it's not your money, that's why you're not emotional. Well, I also have money invested.
100%.
Right? So I regulate my own emotions to my money the same way that I make recommendations to clients.
I don't stay the heck out of my portfolio.
Yeah, I don't change mine. I don't change mine at all.
I put it on a rebalance. I look at it just like I would. I have it on a rebalance schedule like I would a client because I don't need it yet.
Yeah, I rebalance my accounts the exact same way I rebalance everybody else's.
Right.
Once or twice a year, take a look at it annually. My goals, risk tolerance, time horizon change? No. Okay. Then there's no need to make a change. I will put this caveat. when I do make a change, it's usually to become more aggressive. I can't think that I've ever become more conservative. Even as I've gotten older, in the 10 years that I've been doing this, I think I've gotten more aggressive.
100%. I think, granted, I'm speaking with my own personal experience, but I find that clients that are more knowledgeable about the market are more comfortable in that aggressive space. Because you've been through these downturns, what's going to happen based on history? Does that mean it's going to happen 100%? No, it may not. But 15 out of the last 15 times, this is what happened. So we're thinking it's probably what's going to happen this time too.
Based upon the historical data. And that's when we have a conversation with a client, a lot of times we'll throw charts up and we'll look at all this stuff and say, look, historically, and everybody's like, well, this has never happened before, right? Well, but if you look back historically, there'd never been a dot-com bubble burst before.
Right.
Right? And look where we're at compared to 2001. I mean, we're at all-time high. We're hitting all-time highs. And it's like people want to be really nervous about the market, and I understand that. But at the same time, we're hitting all-time highs. In the last month, we've hit all-time highs.
But if you listen to the news, you're not going to hear that. I think that is the piece that doesn't help. And it's not misinformation. It's not that at all. It's just the market doesn't necessarily react.
Well, there's a great note here that says,
actually, you're right.
By the time it's in the news, it's already priced in.
Right. The market's already reacted to it because chances are they knew whatever that is before we did.
Well, there are professionals sitting at a computer that get that information probably before it goes out on the main news. Because, right, you get into professional traders that are only worried about that thing.
Right.
They're not worried about the rest of the stuff. They're only worried about this one thing. So they have their finger on top of everything associated to it. As soon as it happens, they're buying, selling, doing all of that stuff before it's on the financial markets, before we hear it, before clients hear it, before they call us the next day, before it. I mean, it's like by the time we hear that, it's like traditionally it's probably too late.
So you're proving why then reacting to it is not the decision that you want to make, because you're really reacting to something that's already happened and adjusted for that. And so that goes back to asset allocation, risk tolerance, and all those things, and just making sure that your portfolio is structured in a way that fits all of those things so that when the uncertainties happen, they may have been certain for lots of the other parts of the world, but they feel uncertain to us. But we're prepared for it.
Right. So some of the things that in the relationship we have with clients that can also impact their returns are somebody who withholds financial information from us.
Yes.
Who, like, we do a lot of financial planning and we're building these elaborate financial plans and we ask a lot of detailed questions. What's your mortgage? What's your mortgage rate? What's your monthly payment? What's your vehicle loans, student loans, personal loans? We need all of that to help calculate this. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to be like, oh, you're going to need to sell your car. Like, that's not why we're asking. It's literally, let me get all the data. Let me get all the numbers. Let me put them all together and let me see what makes the most sense.
And I think sometimes just having the conversation presents opportunities. You and I were talking about my personal vehicle loan yesterday, and I said, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, I need to probably look at that. And it's just something I think when we have conversations with clients.
It's education. There's so much of this. That
right. You're not thinking about that on the daily basis. So once or twice a year, it's probably a great idea to look and say, hey, maybe I should refinance that.
And maybe it doesn't make sense, but at least another set of eyes have been like on it to give you their opinion.
You've done your due diligence.
Right.
Because, I mean, these things change all the time.
Depending on who's on TV.
Right? I mean, I bought that 4 years ago. Yeah. I probably should have looked at it.
When you did that, that may have been the best rate.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. So, yeah, those things just change. And it doesn't mean that if your current rate is 7 and you can get one now for 6.5, you need to refinance, right? Like, that's probably not the best strategy either, but involving somebody else who does do this on the daily, kind of helping with those decisions, it's not a bad way to strategize your
life. And I mean, why would you not bounce that stuff off somebody who is talking to people about it all the time, who watches those rates, who it's just having a conversation.
Well, and at the end of the day, that's a nerd and loves this stuff.
Yeah. I think it's so funny to be working on someone's financial plan and then you're like, I need to talk to this client about that thing. And you're just like, because we're in all these details all the time.
Right.
That you're having a conversation with somebody and then you're just like, yeah, that's probably an option for them. They need to know that exists.
That we get so excited about it.
Yeah. So disclosing all of that stuff is like, this is a judgment-free zone, because I'm going to tell you, we've seen something worse than you're about to tell us.
100%. And just because we tell you something or make a recommendation, at the end of the day, it's your decision.
Right. 100%.
Now, don't misunderstand. I'm going to put in my notes what I told you to do, because if it implodes, I want to make sure that I go back and I'm like, okay, I did not recommend that or whatever. But yeah, I think it's a friendship.
100%. And I think a lot of times people get overwhelmed by that full picture. Oh, these are all my debts. This is all the stuff. But it's like, without putting that together, I mean, all of those details, we may miss an opportunity in there that could significantly help your plan.
Ironically, yesterday, Bo and I were in an intro appointment, and young couple, I don't know that they're in a great place, but I don't know that they had worked with an advisor yet. But great space, especially for doing it on their own up to this point. Afterwards, we always send a follow-up of just kind of recommendations and all the things and just kind of what that looks like working with us and so on. And I said to Bo afterwards, I said, hey, I didn't mention this in that meeting, but we also need to look at estate planning and life insurance, because I didn't want to overwhelm them, right? Because I didn't want them to feel like, oh my gosh, I have not been doing no, that's not. Again, we're here to coach you along the way. And when you're ready to get that information, we're going to give it to you. But that's what helps with financial planning, is then we have a full picture of what we do have and what we're missing. And then we can look at the future and what that looks like with projections and, hey, do we need life insurance? And if we don't have it, what happens? And if we do have it, what's that look like? And we're able to do that with software. Is it 100% right every time? No, it's not going to be, but it's better than nothing.
Something you just touched on a second ago is ignoring advice and then assigning blame.
That never happens.
Yeah. That's something that's kind of tough to deal with in our business, that we sit here and we provide all this information, and then a year later a client says, well, this is your fault. I don't think we should have done that to begin with. And it's like you said, in the notes, I state right here that I recommended you do this. We didn't do that. We did this other thing. So we as a team came up with that. It's not like I sit over here and decide all this stuff on my own.
Right. Well, and you can't, kind of touching on that or piggybacking, like you can't meet with a financial advisor and then they give you all these steps, right? Like, let's say 3 steps are for you to complete and 3 steps are for the advisor. Well, if your advisor completes all 3 steps, but you don't, you didn't do your part. Yeah. So like that's going to affect your portfolio. It's going to affect your plan and so on down the line. So it's a team relationship.
100%. I provide feedback, you provide feedback, and then you, like you said earlier, you ultimately make the decision because it's your money as the client. But we need that give and take, right? We need to have that report. I can send you emails or text messages and you respond to them and say, got it, thank you, or I was thinking this.
Right.
And we teamwork that solution, because you have one perspective on it and I have another perspective on it, and together is how we get, with all the details, the most accurate plan that we can come up with.
Right. And I think too, like kind of going back to phone calls, like if I'm calling you about a strategy or emailing, whatever works, and you aren't responding, that's you not doing your part as a client also, right? Like, help me help you also. So not that ever happens. And everyone always returns every phone call and every email.
And we understand we're all busy.
100%. Just hey, reach back out in a week or reach back out in a couple months. Right now, this quarter's really crazy. That's fine. That totally works.
So behind the scenes, what are advisors actually thinking? We're not trying to stop you. We're trying to protect you.
Right. From yourself sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. We talk about that regulating emotional behavior.
Yeah.
Is we've all had clients or heard stories from other advisors in this about somebody calling in a panic, sell everything, get to cash, and then you got to find the time. When do we get back in?
Great question.
Right. And they're like, well, I'll call you and tell you. And then you don't hear from them. You're 6 months, 9 months later, and you're like, wow, we just missed a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
They're not calling you back. They're not returning text messages.
And had we not gone to cash, we would have taken advantage of all that gain.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Again, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback also. Like when we
100%.
have all the information at the end, it's easy to say, well, we should have done this. So, but again, that's why we try and take emotion out of it.
Yeah, 100%. That's why we also need to build that relationship to where we aren't afraid to call. We're not afraid to reach out. We're 100%. Hey, I know I can reach out to Brett or Andrea and they're going to give it to me straight, but we're also going to be able to come to an agreement and then make the
and
best
feel
decision.
comfortable, right? Like at the end of that conversation, I want that client to feel like, okay, I'm in a good spot. I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing what I need to be doing.
What do great clients do differently?
Trust the process during volatility.
Right? If we've already had those discussions, time horizon, risk tolerance, and goals, then the conversation during the downturn, as we stated earlier, have those things changed? Okay, then we're going to stay the course.
Communicating life changes early. So if I'm going to retire, telling you the day that I retire is probably not the best time to do that, right? Like as soon as you decide, hey, I think I'm going to retire next year or whatever, that's when you need to pull that relationship together and be like, hey, what's this look like for me?
Stay focused on long-term goals, right? Time horizon, risk tolerance, and goals.
This actually is one of my favorite ones. Ask why and not what. So I want my clients to understand why we're making these decisions and why we're doing the things the way that we're doing them, because I want them to feel empowered. And the more that they learn and know about the market, they're going to have more comfort. Kind of like you mentioned, you've only gotten more aggressive. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things is like them wanting to understand why we're doing that. That makes me excited.
In closing, what's the things that we want to wrap up and say, hey, these are the important takeaways from this, right? Goals, time horizon, risk tolerance. If you're not changing, if something hasn't changed to where your time horizon has changed, your risk tolerance or your goals, then we don't really want to make those decisions in times of volatility.
Right.
Because it's emotionally based.
Right. Right. But if you don't know, call your advisor and ask them. Like, that's totally fine to be like, hey, talk me off the ledge.
100%. We get those conversations all the time, right? People do in meetings go, listen, I'm super nervous about this. I need you to educate me and tell me what's going on. Why would I change? Why wouldn't I change? Right? And those are the conversations we'll gladly have with people. Here's why maybe you would change, right? Maybe you want to retire sooner, right? So maybe your goal has changed, right? Maybe your risk tolerance has changed, but why? Well, let's talk through those. Open and honest communication. So again, everybody, Andrea Lee, Brett Rice, Core Vision Financial Group. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Go to our YouTube page and subscribe so you're notified when we post new videos.